who doesn't love a good haul? Hi everyone, my name is Kayla. Welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf, where we talk about books. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some books that were very kindly sent to me either through giveaways that I had won or from the authors in exchange for reviews. These are books that were just very kindly sent to me from some fantastic people, and I wanted to share them with you so that you can get an idea of what I'll be reading upcoming on the channel and hopefully find a book that interests you. The first book I was gifted was through a giveaway hosted by the Escapist Tours. If you haven't checked them out already, I highly recommend that you do. They host book tours for self-published books and they do a phenomenal job. There's giveaways, lots of information if you're looking for some self-pub or indie books. They're great. I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can find them. The first book is The Outworlder by Natalie J. Holden. This is a self-published fantasy book, just under 300 pages. The story seems to follow Aldeth, the main character. He's joined the army of the kingdom, but his loyalty comes in question when he needs to decide between his kingdom or his friends and family. Now, it does sound like he wields magic of some kind, which will be interesting to see, and I also like the dynamic of war not just being the primary focus or struggle or his loyalties coming into question, but the dynamic of trying to navigate with people. As a bit of an introvert, that's something that I've struggled with, and I'm really curious to see how it's explored in this book. Overall, it sounds interesting, and the author very kindly sent a signed copy, which was really sweet, from the giveaway. The next book was also through a giveaway from the Escapist Tours, and again, this was a signed copy that they were giving away, and this is Merchants of Knowledge and Magic by Erika McCorkle. This is another self-published fantasy book, and I don't think I can give you a synopsis offhand. I'm going to have to read the back to you because when I was looking at this and reading the back and going through the book and looking it up more, there's a lot of detail, a lot of thought and intricacy put into this already. Offhand, I can tell I'm going to have to do a bit of following and note-taking while reading this, just because the world is so intricate in how it seems the author designed it and put it all together. I'm really looking forward to this for that reason, but also the story sounds really interesting, and I'm just going to show you the front here where they did sign, but they also have a map of this universe. I am hoping you can see that okay. If not, I will put pictures up on the screen where you can see that. It just seems like they put a lot of thought, care, and planning into this, and I love when authors take time with the plot line, make it intricate, make the reader think and scheme and try and figure out what the author is intending for the storyline, the characters. So this seems like it's going to fall under that category. Let me just read the description for you. On one of the many planes of the Pentagonal Dominion, Priestess Calenthe trades in information, collecting valuable secrets for her demonic employer. Calenthe has a secret of her own. She's intersex, making her a target for the matriarchal slavers of the Ophidan plane, whose territory she must cross in her search for hidden knowledge. But thanks to her friend Zacharo's illusions, Calenthe presents as a woman, a comfortable, if furtive, existence in a world determined to bring her to heel. But when instead of a mere secret, the priestess uncovers an incalculably powerful artifact, Calenthe finds herself in a high-stakes negotiation with the same matriarchs who sought to enslave her. On the table, Calenthe's discovery, a charm powerful enough to transform a mortal into a god. Against a secret so deadly it could quell all life on every plane of the Dominion. If Calenthe plays her cards perfectly, she and Zacharo could escape Ophidia, wealthier than either of them ever dreamed possible. But if she plays them wrong, she'll learn slavery in her pursuer's hands is a fate far worse than death. So this definitely sounds like a high-stakes story, and at just over 480 pages, it seems like a reasonable page count, but looks chunkier than it actually is for the page number anyway. This is going to be interesting, and I'm curious to see how in-depth this world goes. Next is a book I was gifted in a giveaway from Connor Daly. I'll leave links where you can find out more about their platform and everything that they discuss. Connor is fantastic, and the book that I had won was The Look of a King by Tom Dumbrell. This is another self-published fantasy book, and from what I understand, it is a coming-of-age story that is a mix of historical fiction and fantasy. This is book 1 in the Pillars of Peace trilogy. It's 260 pages, and the final book in the trilogy was recently released, so all 3 are now complete, and the timing is kind of nice because I would like to read all of these back to back. There's just so many series that I've been starting and reading that only the first book or only a couple books are out, so it'll be nice to actually start a series and be able to finish it. If you're looking for something of the same, this might be one to check out for you, but this is a coming-of-age story. Let me read the back for you. 2 young men, one with a dark past, the other with a bright future. Cyrus is a storyteller frustrated by the mundane trappings of village life, while Prince Augustus struggles to meet high expectations after an upbringing of royal privilege in a bustling capital. As they both try to forge their own paths, a royal assassination unexpectedly closes the gap between them. The nation of East Haven is thrown into war with the oppressive neighbors, and so begins a conflict from which neither can walk away. Will a young prince finally measure up to his destiny? Will a storyteller create a legend of his own? Cyrus and Augustus's lives may seem worlds apart, but perhaps they aren't so different after all. I've recently been reading a lot of good coming-of-age stories, and the plotline of this really sounds interesting, so I'm curious to see how the series has gone or will go for me, and I've heard great things, so this will be really fun to read. And with 260 pages, that feels quite manageable and something I can fit in between some of the denser books that I'm reading. For the next sets of books, these are ones that were very kindly gifted to me from the authors in exchange for honest reviews. There was one here that I wasn't expecting to be chosen for as a reviewer, but when the author reached out and let me know, I was just so grateful. And that is from Michael S. Jackson for their upcoming novella, The Battle That Was Lost. I had recently read and reviewed The Path and the Way, the first book in the Ringlander series that Michael is working on, and when he reached out letting me know that I was chosen as one of the reviewers for the upcoming novella and that he was sending an ARC my way, I was just really grateful because I wanted more writing from him, and to just be chosen for an ARC copy, and not just that, a hardcover ARC copy with artwork, and I will show you the artwork in a minute, that is also signed. It's just incredibly thoughtful and kind of Michael. So I am very grateful, and I'm actually really interested to see how the world is expanded in this novella and the character that we follow, as I don't believe it's the same characters that we saw much of in the first book of the Ringlander series. So I am really eager to dive into it. It is a novella at about 87 pages or so. Now that might change as this is an advanced reading copy, so the final edits I imagine will be still going through, but let me show you some of the artwork that came with it. In addition to the hardcover, Michael sent along some of the bookmarks with the artwork and illustrations from the books that he's written. Now these artworks he includes in The Path and the Way. There's illustrations in the hardcover, along with a signed art card with some of the characters and a very kind message on the back. But I am just very grateful for this. Thank you so much, Michael. Next is Zeroed Out by Jacob Markof. This is a cyberpunk thriller, self-published and about 340 pages. This is different than my typical genre of reading, but I really enjoy sci-fi, and thrillers can be really fun if they're done well. So I'm curious to see how this is. It definitely piqued my interest from the synopsis. I'll read the back for you. Zeroed Out is a cyberpunk thriller set in a fully automated metropolis governed by an all-seeing synthetic intelligence that examines the morality of limiting technological evolution. While chasing a criminal through an unruly sector of Omega City 6, freelance enforcer Zed Takeda stumbles on the first of many victims by an unknown serial killer that has somehow escaped all forms of the city's intensive surveillance. His investigation into the murders will uncover some hard truths he had not intended to find. On the other side of the city, Ash Starbrook lives as a dreamcaster, or someone whose dreams are turned into highly profitable virtual reality entertainment. She is unaware that the symbols showing up in her nightmares will have her caught up in Zed's murder investigation. Their intertwining stories will have them traveling through multiple layers of the neon-drenched futuristic city filled with street gangs, radical political groups, and social elites. One of the things that I really enjoy with sci-fi is how technology, or the exploration or the invention of technology, impacts human life and the psychology behind those impacts, or the relationships that form. This sounds like it's going to have an interesting mix of the thriller aspect, but in a futuristic world that is heavily impacted by technology, the implications of it, how it affects their characters' lives, the concept of someone's dreams being broadcast for entertainment. It's interesting. I'm curious to see how all of this comes together and just overall having a good read. The last book in today's haul is one that actually came recommended to me by a couple of friends who have similar reading tastes to me, and the author was asking if people were interested in review copies, so I said yes, and it's not a book that I would have thought to read, honestly. And the reason I wanted to pick it up is because of Jordan and Andrew. Now, this is Wistful Ascending by J.C.M. Berne. The cover, the guy in the suit, it looks superhero-esque, and I just wasn't sure if that was going to be my kind of story, but I've also learned to not judge a book by its cover, and hearing that my friends are enjoying it, I definitely wanted to take the opportunity to read this and review it so that more people can find it or just see if it's something that they're interested in. This is a self-published science fiction at just under 400 pages. The short description for this is that it's a superhero space opera for grown-ups. Now, I grew up with a lot of superhero stuff, Marvel, DC, you name it, and I do love the concept of space heroes, but the format of it being in a novel as opposed to a comic is also going to be an interesting experience for me since it's just different from what I know, and I'm really curious to see how it works. Let's read the description. The mixed species children of the Ildruch have awesome civilization-ending powers. The Ildruch have built a cruel empire spanning half a galaxy behind them. Half-human Rohan, exhausted by a decade fighting for that empire as a weapon of mass destruction, has paid a secret and terrible price for his freedom. Now retired, he strives to live a quiet life towing spaceships for the space station Wistful. His most pressing problems are finding the perfect cup of coffee and talking to a beguiling shuttle tech without tripping over his own tongue. When a nearby long-dormant wormhole is opened by a ship full of angry refugees, the many eyes of the Empire focus uncomfortably on Wistful. As scientists, spies, and assassins converge, Rohan finds that reverting to the monster the Empire created is the surest way to protect his friends. And if he's not careful, the surest way to lose them. Also, just knowing that two of my friends who have similar reading tastes to me have given this 5 stars has me really eager to start this and see why they loved it. Now, this book I received is one that I was eagerly anticipating to read when it released, and I had no idea that an ARC copy was sent to me. This just meant that I wasn't able to read it before the release and review it since it arrived on the day of publication, but I also had no idea that it was coming. It was just a great surprise because I'm so eager to read it, but at the same time I just felt bad. But the book that I received is The Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon. This is a fantasy book at about 560 pages or so, and it is one that I was very eager to read this year. I was so grateful to be able to get a physical art copy. The cover looks phenomenal. So this was published and arrived on July 7th, and this is available in ebook, physical, hardcover, paperback, and it has an audiobook. Let me read the back so you can understand why my curiosity is piqued for this book. Born through life-threatening trials that bind chemical elements to the human body, Ig was forged in the boiling volcanoes under Mira's frozen lands. One of the most powerful known elementals, he serves as an enforcer for magnate Sorello Adrian, cursed with flesh-binding magic that will kill him at the first sign of disobedience. When Sorello is overthrown, Ig quickly learns he can do far worse than what has been asked of him so far. If he can't escape the flesh binding in time, Ig will have to kill friend and foe alike to stop his master reclaiming the throne, or sacrifice himself trying. So the concept that humans are bonded with an element and used as weapons was really intriguing to me. It sounds like there's going to be some action, political intrigue, and some hard choices that the main character will have to make. And this is a debut novel for Clay Harmon. All of this, I mean, it just sounds interesting. I'm curious to see how the story will play out, and honestly, this cover art is just awesome. I know it's simple, but I love it. So I have to give a huge thank you to the authors, to Connor, to Escapist Tours for sending me these books. I'd love to hear from you. What books have you hauled recently that you are eager to read? Leave your comments down below. As always, thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves.